Yung tickling me. Warming up.
Yep. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry we're late. Shakespeare is a brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Tagging you.
Getting cut off as I reshare.
Yeah, well, we'll all come back. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, something wrong there.
Hmm?
This is not. Ah, I went to posts that way. I was like, why is it images?
Hey, Matt. Both are running.
Yep. And I posted the link. Of course, Mitch is like, why do butterflies suddenly appear? Was trying to finish Julius Caesar right before this.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god. That the last speech of Mark Antony, I'd forgotten how gripping it is and how it's this the structure in itself is a mastery of persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can study Mark Antony's speech and look at how
Hey, Andre.
he structures his arguments, how he positions, you know, he starts off by saying he's not going to defend Caesar and he's just going to bury him. But then in the end, he sways the crowd to want to hear his last will and testament.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. We're not done. We got to cut off. It's super late.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. But thank you for the noble few who always join us for these episodes on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. That was a very busy Monday, though.
Yes. Yes. It's a very Monday.
Yeah.
More so for you guys because you coming back from a holiday. At least I still have work on Friday, so.
Mm-hmm. And Andre shares he had his own movement as far as work was concerned. And that's good. It's always good to be able to find a good shift despite the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Where should we start?
Yeah, I guess we might as well start. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. Tonight's episode is another board game night, and this is Mariposas.
Or should it be Mariposas? And for the, for context, mariposa is the Spanish word for butterfly. And that is the subject of this game. That it's about the migration of monarch butterflies that leave Mexico and tend to spread across North America. And then every fall they go back. So it is a two-way sort of migration game.
The game works for 2 to 5 players and has you do grid movement, set collection, as well as spending your movement points well in order to make the most every turn.
Yeah. So when I first saw it, and then like my first question to Toby, because it was one of those, oh, Toby picked it up again. Okay, you're super on edge. You can cover me a bit more so that you're not so hidden. Okay, but one of the things about this game was like I was wondering, is this Wingspan but butterflies? And for those unfamiliar, Wingspan is this beautiful, like super beautifully done board game about birds.
Hey, Karen.
And it super celebrates so many aspects of the life cycle of birds, and how you need the right food for them, they lay eggs and all that, and you score victory points. There are some abstract similarities with Mariposas and Wingspan. In one, it seems to center around a particular creature, in this case, butterflies. And two, it has round by round victory point scoring as one of the main mechanics. But it's a very different game. It's a super different game.
So let's open the box and check it out.
Good box part. That's gonna fall.
We need more tables.
We need a set. We need a proper set for Baduy Pride.
So Mariposas comes with a huge player board, and by huge, we mean huge. But I question whether the space could have been better used.
Yeah. So your migration pattern is here, right? And then in this corner, can we raise it up? It's like these huge spaces for the tarot-sized victory point scoring cards, which don't have a lot of information on them. There's a little summary here of points. That's fine. There is a windy victory point score track on the side, which is okay. And then there's a little guide here about breeding butterflies.
But then you have all this space that isn't used.
And then this one is super cramped, super busy. So it's like mixed feelings. And then it's a little hard to read because it's each of the different spaces. And I wonder if we should zoom in a bit. But each of the different spaces, oops, there you go, more of that. Pretty much just depicts flowers. And there are like 5 types of flowers in the game, 2 of which look a little similar. And then there are cities which will have certain special things. And then there are places, little circles in between the hexes where you can breed. This is also evidence of Mephisto coming into the game.
So the point of the game is each player plays butterflies that travel all the way from Michoacan. I don't know how to say that.
Michoacan, maybe.
Flying north, following their migratory patterns, and then eventually have to make their way back to the end, which is represented by 1 year. You play through the different seasons, and even within each season, there are points that can be earned. But then by visiting specific cities, you can then unlock what we call life cycle cards.
And then, so the life cycle is represented by this. And this is a board to put cards on that look exactly like these.
Yes.
You can't just draw them. You have to go to a specific city tile that when it's flipped over reveals that particular life cycle period in the right color.
Mhm.
Um,
But these cards basically don't have any mechanical differences. They don't have any
in-game
details.
benefits, yeah.
They could have simply been a token track that you keep track of, or they could have simply been the board itself and minus the cards. Maybe players just have tokens that they mark if they already have it.
Mm.
So this feels a little bit unnecessary. Completing a set of life cycle cards allows you to earn one of the corresponding bonuses that will be placed here.
And they're randomized for every game,
But
so that's
again,
interesting.
given that you have places to search in the map, you have no way of knowing where those places are until someone opens them up. And then you have limited action points and a limited number of turns. It's unlikely that you'll collect more than one set unless you're very, very lucky.
So the game, because it does depict sort of the life cycle of butterflies, will also reflect the life and death. So similar to like the village, where your older villagers eventually die out based on a time cycle. In this game, as you go through the seasons, which are the scoring cards, you will your older butterflies will age out. And so it's important that you continue to breed as you move along in order to, stay in the game.
So, as Rocky mentioned, there are the butterflies. Each player comes with a set of butterfly tokens.
And it's hard to see probably in the camera, even if we bring it close, but each butterfly has a number starting from 2, right? Or 1.
One.
Starting from 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
Yeah, it doesn't show.
Yeah, and then 4 times 2. If you look at the picture we shared earlier to promote today's episode, the butterflies are in that photo.
At the start of the game, you start with butterflies at generation 1 by going to certain spots on the board, and by paying flower tokens, you're able to give birth to a new butterfly of the next generation. And ultimately, you try to reach the level 4 generation butterflies, which are vital for scoring at the end of the game.
Yeah, because the ultimate objective of the game is to get your level 4 butterflies back to Mexico at the end of the game. Considering that the other scoring cards most likely will force you to migrate north and be above certain lines. Because examples of some of the goals are like have butterflies above the city of Chicago, or
Maybe we should
to the left of blah blah blah. Okay,
So gold cards come in 4 seasons.
and they're tarot sized. Don't know why.
Each one has their own example information. So like here, have
Wow.
3 butterflies above Atlanta
And no,
And no
3
butterflies.
butterflies and no butterflies below Atlanta.
for 5 points.
Okay.
You could have every butterfly on the East Coast is worth 2 points.
Every butterfly on an orange space to the left of
Chicago.
Chicago. So the symbology isn't too difficult.
And another example,
Every point
the 1
above
point for each butterfly
Yeah.
above Toronto.
above Toronto.
Here you have,
Oh my god.
so you must
Have level 3 butterflies
above
above Atlanta
and level 4 butterflies
to the right.
to the right of Atlanta.
Ay,
Um,
caramba.
So it's a lot of weird stuff. Sometimes it's more color specific.
So
butterflies in red spaces, every 2 is 6 points as long as they are above Lawrence. To the right of Houston, as
Orange
long as they're orange
spaces,
spaces, 6 points. So it's tricky because they become goals that you want to hit. But then by targeting these goals, you're not really optimizing completing life cycle cards, which feels counter.
intuitive.
Yeah, because if the game is about the life cycle of the butterflies and about doing the migration, then why are the point cards discouraging me from finding these life cycle cards?
Or I feel like the life cycle cards are a weird afterthought, or like it's an extra mechanic that was thrown in, but it doesn't quite harmonize with the rest. And it is, and I know we're already kind of digging on the game so early in this discussion, but considering this is the person who made Wingspan, this is Elizabeth Hargrave. So I kind of expected the same level of elegant interconnection of systems that reflected, real life. So I love it how in Wingspan, Like you have birds that are activated when you harvest food
You
and they
have
trigger certain things.
predators.
You have predators.
You have
You
the
have
cuckoos that lay eggs other in other places
yeah.
and stuff like
So
that.
you know you do a thing and then something else happens. So it's this beautiful like back and forth dance
Hmm.
between card game mechanics that reflect the bird characteristics. In this case, we're kind of moving up and then moving down, and then the points are driving us left and right.
Hmm.
But yeah, then the life cycle doesn't fit the pattern.
It's strange given this is a later game compared
Yes.
to the other games. So this really thick deck is just the life cycle cards, which is repeating the same symbol for each type for each color over and over again.
And you can't get more than one of the same type. The
Yeah.
reason why there are this many is to make sure in a 5-player game everybody can get one of
And
each.
given that you're expecting players to complete these sets, it's a lost opportunity to have made the cards form a picture.
Something
Like
I
if
don't
you
know.
maybe if you get all four life cycle cards and you put them together,
On or on the reverse side,
it's
it's a
an yeah,
butterfly.
it's an interesting visual that then makes you feel like I made the set, but it doesn't have that charm. Players are make their moves using this deck of cards, which is basically a different variety of movement technique. Of course, I drew the same one. There are movement options, but basically the game already challenges you to hit specific targets and to move around, but then tells you you can only do that based on the cards you have in hand.
And movement is very limited in the sense that the most you can move is 3 butterflies, 1 space each, or 1 butterfly, 5 spaces,
Mm.
if you have that particular card. But on average, you're probably going to move 1 to 2 spaces for up to 2 butterflies, which, given the size of the map, is very daunting.
Mm-mm.
And then I don't know if you could game the mechanic in the sense that what if I abandon most of the seasonal goals and just focus on breeding and getting as many
It might
level
work.
4
It
back.
might
I don't
work.
know. I don't know. We've only played one game, to be fair.
These are the possible examples of rewards you get if you complete a life cycle card, which, given all the effort, I don't know if they're worth aiming aiming for. Then you have a smaller deck of all of these. Oh, it's yellow in the camera, but it's green in the
It's
eyes.
a lime
Yeah.
green.
But it's basically possible movement cards that you get when you visit cities.
There's special movement. Again, you can only have one of each.
Because visiting cities has you draw one of these tokens, and they reveal, for example, a life cycle card or a bonus like this one.
One movement.
There's a die because whenever you visit cities for the first time, you get the roll, and
You
this
get a free
determines the
flower.
flower you get. And the last component is you have the flower tokens. The box came with these containers. They got this butterfly
They're very
symbol
pretty
there.
containers.
Um,
But
but
again, I feel like Elizabeth is in love with tokens.
but in the end, they're just wooden tokens that
Cardboard.
cardboard tokens that don't really do anything. So I'm mixed with this game. The gameplay isn't too heavy. It's definitely lighter than Wingspan.
Yes.
But I feel the game design suffered in this desire to make it lighter because it suddenly seems like okay, so your movement is random in the sense that you're stuck with what cards you have.
Yeah, because you have a hand of 2,
Mhm.
and then so you only have 2 options, and you choose one to play. You'll have at most 3 if you get one of the bonus cards, but then that's not much.
And then your rewards are random because if you go to a city for the first time, you have to roll the dice to see what you get.
And you
If
don't know
you
what's under the city tile.
if you go to the city tile itself, you don't know what you'll get. And then the goals are revealed. They made this mechanic wherein goals are revealed as people unlock more butterflies, which for me was an interesting way to have a timer that the player initiates. But given that the timer still does happen when a certain number of turns are reached, so what this basically tells me is players either really make a lot of effort in making babies, and by doing so they get to unlock sooner what the possible next season goals are, or
Mm.
they don't, and they enter the next season not knowing what the goals are. So
Mm.
it felt like a strange decision for me in terms of design because um, I think the game was trying to have so many surprise moments to be interesting,
Yeah,
but
because
it then suffered in making the players feel like they don't have that much agency to really plan things out. They only have the ability to react to what they have in front of them.
unlike like in Wingspan, right, where you already know your four goal
Hmm.
cards for the game, and
Hmm.
then you can already map out
A
like
stratagem
a
early on.
strategy.
In
It's
as,
like Pret-a-Porter,
in
where
as
you know
much
the season.
as you might have crappy luck with the birds you draw, the fact that you can still tailor what actions you'll make.
Yeah.
I can like, okay, I'll focus on this because I want to make sure I can do X more.
Or
Or
like yeah, like
I can
based on my
focus,
birds, I can
yeah,
do the second goal. I'll skip the
and
first.
maybe I won't target those goals, so I can do this. So it had that much beautiful depth of choice. This one, maybe it was an attempt to make it more casual, but then I felt it became so casual. It's almost like if you were playing Monopoly, but then when you land on the tile, we're not sure how much it's worth.
Yeah, it's like that. Or you
And you're
won't
not
know what
sure
the tile's gonna do until you get
and
there.
you're not sure if that strip are all the same color because it all depends on the draw. And then you're not even sure how much money you'll make because we'll roll first to find out. So it has that feeling of everything so random, so it doesn't feel as fulfilling. Art wise, very colorful.
I
Um,
guess they were definitely going for more like Mexican sort of inspired palette, especially when you look at the colors that they chose
the
for.
vibrant contrast of
Yeah.
black and bright colors.
Although I wonder if there's color blindness concerns because some of these are very close in hues, but I don't know. That
Well,
I,
they did try to keep it colorblind safe. If you look real close, there are small patterns. Sadly,
mm,
it's not appearing in the camera. But there's like dotted dashes. Here it's dots. Here it's dots and dashes.
oh
It's a
on
small,
the
subtle
hexes.
attempt
Yeah,
to give
yeah.
it color blindness, friendliness. But I just feel like there was a lot less um, thoughtful design and a lot more passionate design in the making of this.
Mm.
The spiral's core path obviously feels like it's a butterfly flying, but it's a terrible waste of space considering. Okay, I wouldn't have minded this if given there's an extra board, everything goes on the boards.
Yeah, like why not that
But
in
that's
there?
not what happens. We have cards here, we have this, and for some reason, you'll still have the deck off the boards.
Yes.
You still have
There's no space for the movement deck. There's
there's
no
no
space
dis-
for the bonus
there's
cards.
no discard space.
Yes.
So why?
So angry. I guess in this age of like uh I mean in contrast, and we haven't talked about it yet, but then like we have a game like Dune Imperium,
Mhm.
where admittedly if you just stare at the board, it doesn't immediately shout out Dune.
Mhm,
But it's such a functional board
mhm,
because everything is on the board, the point trackers on the board, the conflict cards, the
mhm,
discard for the conflict. The only thing that's not on the board is the market, which is understandable
mhm.
because like Clank, the market's off the board.
And then on a similar path, you have an older game through the ages,
Oh my
which
gosh.
while it does have decks that are off the board,
And you have individual player boards.
everything else is designed to interconnect.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got this card, when you place it in your player board, you can see that it goes there. When you get the upgrades, you can see how it overlaps and the system interconnects. There's that thoughtful process in the design that makes sure the visual works with the mechanics. This one, I feel missed that opportunity, and I feel so sad about it because it's a beautiful looking game. It covers a topic that could have been all about pretty images.
It's given us butterfly meeples.
I
We've
mean,
never had butterfly meeples.
why couldn't the life cycle cards form a butterfly in the end? 4 cards is perfect for a butterfly.
Or any other poster.
Diba? So you have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. You then flip it over, and it's now a butterfly, and it gives you a points because that forms the number. It
Yeah,
had that
or
opportunity.
like it counts as a butterfly
Yeah,
for
in the
migration in the end.
Diba? So
Then because the migration at the end is a scale,
mhm.
uh, I don't
It's a
know.
scale of points depending on how many butterflies of the fourth generation you're able to bring to that location.
So if you have 6 butterflies, it's 24 points versus just one generation 4 butterfly.
Mm.
It's 3. So it scales very interestingly.
And then in the same token, you have the flower tokens, which are basically your currency in the game. Um, I, I I can probably ignore the fact that they're just really round tokens. But if again they had a more thoughtful process to it, then there could have been player boards. Your player board has your marker on the life cycle cards you had if you needed that. But if they kept the life cycle cards, I would have still gone for the butterfly form in the end. But then for the flowers, you could have simply had four central flowers, and each token you get is a petal that
Mm,
completes the image of the flower. And that would have felt so much more fulfilling that when you look at your board, I want to complete that. It would have had those
yeah.
moments. So,
Instead, your mid-game state is gonna be like you have your discard pile of cards because you're supposed to keep your discard pile to count the rounds.
mhm,
You'll have a smattering of tokens in front of
mhm,
you. You will have butterflies you have not grown because
mhm.
the active butterflies are on the
And
board.
then you have your life cycle cards that are spread out because you have to see each individual card.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of space that's doing nothing. So
Mm.
it's sad. It would have been an opportunity.
It's just yeah, and then I mean to be fair, the publisher is different for this one, right? Because Wingspan was published by Stonemeyer,
Yeah.
whereas Mariposas is published by AEG, and I don't know if that has a factor in
I
it.
think it is because Stone Meyer has been well,
Indulgent in
yes,
design.
because let's look at other Stone Meyer games.
Oh, isn't it like another tapestry?
So Stone Meyer games include Scythe,
Of course,
Viticulture, Tapestry, Charterstone.
Charterstone.
So it's a lot of games we're in. Let's really see how things interconnect. Charterstone had the floating islands, which perfectly fit over the islands that are not floating.
Yes,
Charterstone even had um,
and then the sticker
the way the
mechanics were
cards
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
the way the cards work together, the stickers, the iconography. Viticulture, as confusing as it may seem at first, you start to get
The left and right of the
yeah.
seasons, and it was still like this nice journey. And then the thoughtfulness of using glass tokens for
So it doesn't cover
the
the
press
number.
and the
Yeah.
seller.
The
Yeah,
app though is terrible. Someone needs to make those icons appear on the
it's
cards.
not great.
But yeah,
And Tapestry is just super indulgent. It's like we're gonna do a miniature building game, and it just looks great.
Mm.
It looks very confusing though, but it's beautiful.
we'd like to praise Scythe, but we're very angry that we're given mechs and it's a game where people just run away.
Bonk. They go
Why?
into combat and bonk.
Why?
But then, so same designer, but then what a difference of publisher,
Yes.
I guess. So Mariposas is not the Wingspan of butterflies, and I see a friend of ours just started playing Wingspan on Steam right now.
Mhm.
But Mariposas is not the Wingspan of butterflies,
No.
despite it being designed by Elizabeth Hargrave as well, and that is sad.
I'm not even sure if I can say it's a love letter to butterflies.
Yeah,
Because
because
you play generic butterflies, so your
I
action
know they're
cards,
supposed to be the monarch, kasi.
yeah,
That's iconic.
but I mean your actions dictate your movement.
Yes.
So there's nothing that makes you feel these are special butterflies.
Yeah.
I would have even preferred something to the effect of, maybe generation one butterflies have a penalty to their movement, and
Mm.
the later generation, because as the butterflies get older, they're able to travel more or something like that.
Or because it's winter, then you actually have less movement.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or maybe you draw more movement cards to represent during summer. They have more options. It just feels there could have been more capturing the experience of the journey. Because in the end, when we were playing, either we hyper focused on the goals,
On the seasonal goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or just tried to move to the flowers to get the tokens we needed.
Yeah. And so it felt like you could do this game as if like there's that reality show, Diners, Drivers, and Dives, which is really just a guy driving around trying food. So you could reskin this, and it's a guy eating
going
at
to
different
restaurants,
restaurants.
and it would still work.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel distinctly butterfly-ish.
Whereas Wingspan, if you were to convert that, for example, to let's say Platypus Run, um, I don't
This
know
is
why
the
that's the
second time
example.
you've brought up the platypus in several days now.
As the egg. But yeah, let's say we turn it into platypus or we turn it into corgis. You still have so many things you have to adjust because now what's the wingspan? What's the predatory? What's the different food coming from
What
the
are we, where? Why are we laying eggs?
what will replace the eggs? Are eggs now bones? Are they? There's so many things you'll have to adapt. But here, so you're collecting the four life cycle cards, but each card independently doesn't do anything. So those could be for VIP tickets or for ice cream specialties,
For souvenirs.
and you're just making sure you have one of each type. Maybe you're getting four burgers, four sodas, and four desserts.
But there's no, I mean, like, and the bonus you get for completing a set doesn't feel like that amazing.
Yeah,
Like it's just points.
and you don't even get to choose. It's
Yeah.
whatever was the random, again random, possible rewards for that specific set. So
Yeah, in our game, kasi our goals started like it sent us above Atlanta, then it sent us to Canada and Chicago at the same time.
yeah,
Then it wanted us like left of to the right of Dallas, and then we had to rush home to the end. And then for me, I super focused on the seasonal goals,
mm.
and I ignored like I barely hit the cities anymore.
I would have wished the game had a bit more thematic feel in the sense of like maybe for the seasonal goals you have two cards laid out like butterfly wings,
Mm.
and then once the tokens are all removed, everyone now has to vote left or right, and then
Tricky.
the other one flies away and that one stays and that's not the reward. But then there's that feeling of agency. There's that feeling of guys, no one has get that one now because most of us are there. Yeah. Same with the rewards when you complete a life cycle. Maybe instead of predetermined ones, you get to choose because as you transform, you choose the change that it could have been stuff like that. It
And
could have
maybe
made,
it's like more powers, but then each power is activated by one
Mhm.
player only, and then flip it over when you're done. I don't know. Did the life cycle need to be three different colors? I don't know.
yeah.
It's because it's hard. It's hard to complete. And then I saw Toby was deliberately trying to do the life cycle. Like he was visiting cities,
Mm.
but then like I think his first three cities were all the bonus cards, and they
Mhm.
weren't the life cycle cards, so it didn't happen. So in the end, he was just determined. I want to see where they are.
Mm-mm. And maybe that was the design choice, but um,
But it's so because it feels like because then the life cycle is just too difficult to achieve.
unless someone opens stuff for you beforehand,
Yeah, maybe it makes more sense in a greater number of players. Because
or
of course we
maybe
only played a two-player game.
or maybe it was designed to help the players who are not first. But I still don't get how that matters because the only thing that matters in terms of players who are ahead of you is visiting the cities for the first time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mitch
um,
asks first. Well, do we think it's okay for beginners?
I think so. I think it is designed to be much more approachable and playable than Wingspan is.
It definitely feels. Dare I dig up the old term, but it definitely feels more American. I'll just say that
Yes.
because of the fact that there's so many random things. Your
I-
movement's random.
I was going to
The dice is
say,
random.
if Wingspan is your Euro game, Mariposas is your King of Tokyo. Because in as much as there are all these little systems, it's a lot of roll. Yeah, and so you can do this with what you roll.
Yeah.
In
yeah.
this case, you can do this with what you drew. And then you can just play it as you go along. And it's not that hard to get the grasp of the systems. It also just feels very.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then I got because like in our game, I got almost all my butterflies out.
Mhm.
But I was aggressively breeding. I got all my butterflies out, but then in the end, I only got one butterfly meeple back to
Mhm.
Mexico because they were all stuck in Canada.
And if you draw cards that don't allow you more than one step, it's one step.
Yeah. So it's it's a mixed bag, ladies and gentlemen. But it's not the knockout of the park that Wingspan is.
Mm-mm.
Mitch was asking, could we do a Wingspan episode? The irony is we don't own the physical game. We only
Yeah.
have the computer game, unless I borrow like my brother's copy.
Well, we can borrow the other copy.
I know, I know. I was thinking about that.
But yeah, we probably can do a Wingspan episode, or we take screen images of the digital one, and then we can flash them while we do
Yeah,
that.
or I can use my old photos of the physical game of Jovan that we've played so many times.
And then beyond that, um, for its price, I feel it's a bit expensive. Um, Only because I feel it doesn't feel as deep.
And then the components are just like okay. Unlike I feel like with the natural comparison is Wingspan or every other Stone Meyer game.
Mhm.
You know, you feel like there's so much going on. We're not big fans of Scythe as a game
Mhm.
in terms of its gameplay, but oh my god, the components of that game, all the little trackers and stuff, it does make sense and connect.
Mhm.
Wingspan is amazing. The game added its own dice roller for no, it didn't need to, but it did. So there was a lot of love. This one, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm actually wondering, and I think the closest comparison I can think of right now for this game would be something similar to Talisman, minus
Oh.
having characters.
Mm.
But you have a lot of um, rolling to move here. It's drawing cards and then seeing where you move, and then trying to fulfill things based on where you land, and
Talisman.
going to specific parts of the map before the game ends. What Talisman has that this doesn't is the variable powers and the levels and the choices.
But
Because
they're
because
not.
in Talisman, you can choose to run away, you can choose to fight.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
it's like I got my, and then there are times. Toby's had like times where he has the same movement card, and
Yeah,
okay,
so I had the same movement card,
and there
which
was both
is
the copy.
reuse a card that was previously used. But then Rocky's previous move was a special card, which according to the rules you can't copy that. So I was like, I guess I can just use your other previous card.
Which, to be fair, he could. Like he
But
wasn't limited to my last played. But yeah, it was like then you get. But already Toby he literally said like, if not the game, then I have a broken turn because
because I don't know if this is legal. And,
Yeah.
it was that sort of thing. So, um, is it worth getting? I still say yes because it's still one of those games I think you can play with your family.
it's an interesting experiential game. And then if you look, I mean, I'm surprised it has a 7.2 on Board Game Geek. That's fairly high for a game like this.
Check King of Tokyo.
What?
Check King of Tokyo.
Okay, wait. Let me look at King of Tokyo. Why is this our comparison? Oh no, King of Tokyo. Pum, 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 is also 7.2.
I have spoken.
Wingspan is 8.1 for contrast, And to read Board Game Geek, because it is like aggregated scores,
Mhm.
it's like I feel like anything above 7 is like a super decent.
Yeah,
Game.
and this isn't bad.
Yeah, 7.5 is already like a pretty awesome
Yeah,
game.
this isn't bad at all. It's just that from the same person who made Wingspan, this feels like a letdown.
Yeah, or I think like
If
if we just played it
yes
and didn't know who made it, we're
Then
like
it's not-
Mariposas.
then it's not so
It's
bad.
like, okay, that was an interesting butterfly-ish
Yeah.
experience. But then now that we know it's the Wingspan creator, and it's like,
Mhm.
huh, why?
So
Why?
I wonder if I think I shall end up playing this more.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm kind of excited for Talisman Kingdom Hearts.
Um,
As a person who has mocked Toby for playing Talisman on his
and
iPad,
as much as Talisman is really a frustrating game,
it's
in
like
many
playing
ways.
Sorry
Mhm.
because you need to roll exact numbers to get into the inner circles.
I would not be surprised if this gets more plays than this in the long run, as far as I'm concerned. And
And it's
admittedly-
because we don't own King of Tokyo. No.
and admittedly, it's because we
We
like
love Kingdom Hearts.
But at the same time, despite Talisman not being a game we actually prefer, They found ways to connect the theme
And
to the
they added
system.
more mechanics. We were surprised when we were like watching how it's
Mm.
played. It's like, oh, then it's not just Talisman.
But that will be a different episode.
Yeah, we still have to play it. In the
Mm.
meantime, Mariposas.
So I guess verdict, a little bit flighty, quite fragile if you
Honey.
compare it to others. Doesn't have the same reach the way birds fly high, but is not necessarily sad because it's still colorful and it's still
It's more general market.
yeah.
It's not serious strategy. It kind of goes up there, but it may not make it all the way back to Mexico.
Mm. Will it be cocooned in your collection? Possibly, if you have more interesting ones.
Will it come out as something more interesting after cocooning? I don't think so.
But will it allow you to have fun moments with family members who might not normally play board games? I think that's a yes.
Mm-mm.
Because, some people do find caterpillars to be cute.
Oh, that's funny though. You know the breeding spot. I know it's a caterpillar on a leaf,
The
right?
milkwood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it always looks to me like a green Godzilla with like, it's like it's like a Godzilla with a tiny head.
Sadly, there's no big image with no.
Yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah.
But yeah.
Open up real quickly. We're not gonna be able to depict it well on screen, but let me. The whole time we were playing, I kept thinking like, see, look, if this is the head, and then
Yeah.
you can see there's like a little branch lower mouth, and then the caterpillar on the back is more like Godzilla's spines. Then it's like Plant Godzilla.
I'm hoping. Oh, there. Okay. Plant Godzilla. Wait, where is it?
I think you're on
It's here.
the wrong page.
Yeah, no, I'm not able to get it close.
There. So see, in this blurriness, doesn't it look like a Godzilla, like with his head up, going "Ah!"
Godzilla with a mohawk.
Yeah. Oh my god. So
So yeah, that's our review on Mariposas. If you are hoping to get it, grab it. Don't be in a rush because I have a feeling a lot of them will still be present and probably even drop
You-
prices eventually.
did you get this second hand?
Yeah, I got this.
Toby got this second hand
That's why I got it. Because when I saw it was second hand, it's like, yeah, I might as well get it because it's supposed to be good.
because you got it with Talisman. I know with another game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't alone. Targi? No.
Yes,
Was
Target.
it Targi?
I got it with Target.
Oh my god. Guys, we have to talk about Targi. That's a good game.
Yeah, but we'll wait for the expansion. I want that to be with the expansion when we
This
cover
is
it.
like villainous all over again. We can't talk about villainous until the expansion
And we have
arrives.
to have another villainous
And
episode.
yeah, do you know what happened when our villainous finally arrived from the US? A new expansion came out. Ay, yeah. We haven't even talked about villainous Marvel,
Yeah, we'll have to talk about villainous.
which is a
Marvel.
whole new animal. It's crazy. But hey, that's why we do board games every Monday, so that it gives us time to slowly work through our collection and hopefully enlighten you more. But I will highlight for this week that we said Friday we're doing digital. We're doing that this week, right?
digital tabletop. Yes.
Yeah. So this Friday for our extended, we don't have a guest yet for this Friday, but instead, if you tune in for Mondays for board games, on Friday we're gonna talk about our experience with digital versions of board games.
Yes.
And we have the FGTC group primarily as our big thanks for making us road test so many games, other than games that Toby has been playing for some time on his
and then we
iPad
also have your brother and Urim to thank
for Tabletop Simulator. Yeah.
exposure. Although we did experience that briefly in the Unpub session that we
Mhm.
attended.
But then we haven't really explored it beyond that. So
We haven't really explored it with the stuff in Tabletop Simulator that were not uploaded by friends.
Yes. The other mods that are out there to approximate different games. It's not. We'll save that for Friday. Okay. Oh my god! And then Mitch is like, I can play audio saying, "What's my password?" again. Yes, all the fun things you hear during online playing digital games, including "Are we friends yet?" And then how do I add friends?
And then all the weirdest names.
Yeah.
So your name is Toby, right? No, for that one it's something else.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
all the
like,
weird
It's like,
funny
is
names.
it like Geeky Guide? Is it RG Sunico? Is it Garapata?
Didn't we
Is
have
it...
a friend who was like multiples of a single letter? And we're like, what? But yeah, we'll talk more about that on Friday. But as of now, this is our episode on Mariposa. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll. Okay, I got lost. We hope you'll join us again next time.
Did your answer migrate to Canada? Okay. For questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. You can also follow us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, badaypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below, and things like, do you have other questions about Mariposas and why you should be playing Wingspan instead? And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone.